The bodies aren't even cold yet. The people haven't even been buried, and he's already saying that the people who were like killed are pedophiles. I want to talk about Tim Pool for a second. So Tim Pool, for those of you who do not know, is a podcaster. He used to work for Vice. He now has a very popular podcast called like Timcast. He's had people on like Vosh on. He has had Milo Yiannopoulos on. It's a pretty big show, probably one of the biggest political shows on YouTube. He's also a I don't know if you guys know this, he's like a burgeoning musician. He also has his own music that he's releasing now. And Tim Pool has been talking about the Club Q shooting, but what he's been saying about the Club Q shooting has gotten him in a lot of hot water, because it isn't the usual type of message you expect during these times, like the oh, thoughts and prayers, or oh, isn't this horrific, or yeah, yada yada yada, or the usual that we've as Americans gotten used to when it comes to these school shootings. What he's done is actually specifically I don't even know how to say it, so we're just gonna read his tweets and then we're gonna talk about it. So the first tweet where he starts going in this direction is he posts a screenshot showing that Club Q was planning to have an all ages drag brunch. Basically, they were going to have drag performers, sing songs for children, and then they were going to eat some food, right? That's basically it. And that was when the shooting happened, was shortly after they announced they were going to be doing that drag brunch on Sunday. And so Tim Pool has taken this to what he believes is the logical conclusion. He tweeted, "The grooming of children is not stopping. People are calling for more violence. I do not think legislators will stop the grooming. People will not stop calling for violence. So you tell me what happens next." So I think this is really, really bad, because he agrees with my framework, but he's off by like one very key component. See, my analysis is that if you believe that children are being groomed or molested in this grand conspiracy, then it's not going to be that crazy when people get violent, because of how much societies value children, value youth, value innocence, and the protection of children. So what happened at Club Q, after queer people were labeled, as they have been labeled for the last year or two, as groomers and pedophiles, it isn't that surprising. It's not that this type of rhetoric is particularly new. I mean, there are like old ads from police department precincts releasing ads about beware the homosexual. They're coming for your children. They're coming to molest and touch your children. You need to keep the homosexual away. It's inherent about them that they do this thing. They said that the homosexual, desires children. It is just part of their nature. That is what they used to show on some old police ads. But the rhetoric has increased a lot recently. And the more people that hear LGBTQ plus people are grooming your children, these drag shows are grooming your kids, they're preparing them to be molested, they're grooming them to be gay or to be trans so they can later have sexual interactions with them. They're trying to indoctrinate them into their queer ideology so they can make them gay and homo. If you believe that people are going after your children in that way, then they will, I think, almost inevitably, somebody will do something because of the demonization. But he's also saying in this tweet, the grooming of children is not stopping. But the problem is, this event, there are children in the world being groomed, of course, but this event had nothing to do with it. This event was hosting a drag brunch where musicians sung songs and then they had lunch. As far as we are aware, nobody involved has done anything revolving or molesting children or grooming children or interacting inappropriately with children. As far as we know, all that happened is they sang a song and then they had a meal and then got shot. So I don't know why he would bring up grooming in this way, unless he's specifically saying like there's grooming in the world and some people are incorrectly attributing it to this club, because this club was not engaged in grooming. Now, he doesn't specifically say in this tweet that Club Q is engaged in grooming, but this isn't the only tweet he put out. Here's another one. We shouldn't tolerate pedophiles grooming kids. Club Q had a grooming event. How do you prevent the violence and stop the grooming? This is just Tim Pool calling the Club Q drag performers and staff pedophiles and that they're grooming children. 5 people are dead and 25 others are injured. There was a terror attack at this. There was a terror attack at this club because somebody incorrectly thought that they were going to groom and molest and be pedophiles towards children. And general hatred towards the LGBTQ plus community. We're waiting for more information about the exact nature of his motives from the police department, but we're not stupid also. He's just repeating the exact same rhetoric that is leading to a lot of LGBTQ plus people being targeted in shootings like this, and in fire bombings, and in other attacks, and just general discrimination. The bodies aren't even cold yet. The people haven't even been buried, and he's already saying that the people who were, like, killed are pedophiles. Maybe he's not, you know what? It is a possibility that he's not saying everyone involved here is pedophiles. Maybe it's just the drag performers he's accusing of engaging in grooming and being pedophiles. Maybe you could say, well, he says Club Q had a grooming event. He didn't say it was a pedophilic grooming event. So then why did he bring up pedophiles here? He is clearly trying to indicate that the staff at this event, that the drag performers at the event, possibly the people who died, who knows, that they're pedophiles and groomers, and that they were bringing children there to be groomed. He is affirming the beliefs that led to this violence in the first place. Saying, well, this violence is inevitable if you keep grooming kids like that. Like, I don't really know what to say. I don't know what to add here, like, commentary-wise. He's just incorrectly calling a ton of people staff, performers, and who knows, he doesn't say specifically the people who died. But he's accusing pedophilic events he's accusing people of being pedophiles and for pedophilic events to have taken place and for grooming to have happened with no evidence. None. His only evidence is that there was a drag show and a brunch. Does he know the nature of the drag show? Did they just sing music? All that a show needs to be a drag show is for somebody to bend like gender norms in their performance. So if I put on a dress and went out and read a children's book to a child, you could call that a drag show. We don't know the nature of this drag show. He has no evidence that it was sexual. He has no evidence that it had anything to do with grooming. He has no evidence that anybody involved in this is a pedophile, or they engaged in pedophilic behavior, or they've molested children, or they've hurt children in any way, or had any intention to harm children. And it was these beliefs that led to the shooting in the first place. I haven't seen Tim Pool go lower than this before. This is really, really bad. You know what? I think his music's not that good. I don't know what to say about this outside of Tim Pool. You cannot just accuse people of being pedophiles and groomers without evidence. I hear from Tim Pool all the time. I'm sick of everybody calling all Republicans racist. I'm sick of everybody calling all Republicans bigots, or everybody who isn't a mainstream media sheeple libtard. I'm sick of all of them calling us all racist and using these words and robbing them of all their meaning all the time. They're robbing it of their meaning so that when we call a real racist, nobody will believe it. Anyway, that place that got shot up, they're groomers and pedophiles. Why? I don't know. They had a drag event. I don't know the nature of it, but you know, whatever. They had a drag event, so I guess they're all pedophiles and groomers. Yeah, the place where 5 people just died and 25 got injured. Yeah, I'm willing to say that. I'm willing to say that with no evidence, with nothing to back it up. Before the bodies haven't even been buried yet. The crime scene hasn't been cleaned up. There's still probably blood on the walls of the club. And he's already saying this. I guess what did surprise me about this Club Q shooting, the fact that it happened didn't surprise me. It's sad, but it didn't surprise me. what surprised me most is how little time people took before saying, well, you know, if we want to stop the violence, we got to stop the grooming. How quickly people were like, I don't know, well, maybe they were pedophiles. Well, maybe they were grooming. In fact, they were. Why? I don't know. They had a drag brunch. How quickly the disrespect for the dead just manifested. And this is the same people that I'm hearing all the time like, wow, you disrespected the queen when she died? That's really sad. That's really, I didn't do that, but that's really sad, random Twitter user, that you disrespected one of the most powerful people on earth when they died of natural causes at the age of 1 million. That's extremely offensive. Oh, 2 days after a mass shooting that got 5 people killed and 25 injured for this exact type of rhetoric? Yeah. Well, you know, there's probably some pedophilia going on, groomers going on. I don't need evidence. Don't worry about it. It's the hypocrisy layered on the lack of evidence, layered on the harm, layered on the disrespect. It's just, there's so many layers that is wrong with this tweet. And I guess, like, I'm not one to try to make huge deals out of tweets and stuff, but Tim Pool's a very big creator. He's built a very prosperous career. He has a successful podcast. He has multiple successful YouTube channels. He's had on all manner of politicians, political commentators, scientists, all types of people. He even was able to funnel money into a musical career that he's trying to start. Like, he's a very, very successful man. He has tons of sponsors. He's doing good. He's got like his own mansion. He has his own like compound with an indoor skate park. He's a very successful person who has a gigantic platform and a decent amount of influence. The things he says impacts how people view the world. Him tweeting this out will impact people to see this similarly to how he sees it when it comes to the pedophile and groomer angle. And I guess for me, like, I kind of almost dismiss this out of hand, like, oh, whatever. But people agree with this. There are people who legitimately agree with it. And I just can't wrap my head around how somebody could have this level of disrespect with so little evidence to a club that just had their patrons murdered in cold blood. Like, I could just get angry and yell and scream and whatever and say how fucked this is, but I feel like I can't ever communicate how serious this is compared to somebody who was there. And so I'm gonna wrap this up by showing you a short interview done with the Army veteran who basically tackled the shooter, took off his pistol from his side, the side of his hip, and then started beating him with it, stopping the shooting, while at the same time a drag queen was stomping him with their heel. So I wanted to show you this interview because he can communicate the pain much better than I can. Also, he has a brewery that you guys should go support.
It may not even been a window left, but I saw a lot of people, and this guy was there, and I saw the ACU pattern flag vest. And for me, that was like, there's a handle, I'm getting it. So I ran across the room, grabbed the handle, pulled him down, and then started to, well, actually, I think I went for his gun with him. His rifle flew in front of him, and the young man that tried to jump in there with me, we both either pulled him down or whatever, but he ended up at his head, and right next to the AR. And then with the AR, I told him, push the AR, get the AR away from him. The kid pushed the AR. I don't know what his name was. And then I proceeded to take his other weapon, the pistol, and then just start hitting him where I could, but the armor's in the way. And I found a crease between his armor and his head, and I just started wailing away with his gun. And then I told the kid in front of me, kick him, keep kicking him. And I was guiding him. I was telling people, call 911, call 911. I brought him down. I was in mode. I was doing what I do downrange. You know, I trained for this. I don't want to ever do this. I didn't even retire because I was done doing this stuff. It was too much, and I'm, you know, it came in handy, and I got to protect my kid. I lost my kid's boyfriend. I tried for everybody in there. I still feel bad that there's 5 people. There's 5 people that didn't come home. And this guy, I told him while I was hitting him, I said, I'm going to kill you, man, because you tried to kill my friends. My family was in there. My little girl was in there with her.
We are so sorry for the loss that you and your family have gone through.
Look, I'm sorry, but the least we can expect after this is a little respect for the victims, the completely innocent victims. We're not like talking about some like war criminal in some faraway land who did horrific things and like ratioing their death announcement on Twitter like completely disconnected from like this. We're not talking about that. We're talking about 5 people who were murdered in a terrorist attack targeted against them because of homophobia and queerphobia, targeting them pretty evidently because of queerphobia surrounding the idea of grooming and pedophilia around these drag performances. And we have no evidence that any grooming or pedophilia or anything wrong happened to the children at these events, or that any of the staff members, any of the performers had any ill intent or have a bad track record with children. We have no evidence of that whatsoever. And so to even like suggest that this was a grooming event and to go further from grooming, even though it's almost the same thing, but to also go further and start bringing up the word pedophile as if anybody in this event had pedophilic intent.
Burns
it's
is
not an
immoral,
endorsement
morally
of the
corrupt,
attack,
bankrupt man.
but it is a justification of the logic that led to it. And that I cannot wrap my head around. I really am trying my best in my commentary moving forward. And I know it's not like, you know, it's not the rating star to do this, to try to understand people when I talk to them, right? You can see that from my recent conversation with Michael Tracy or conversations with other people. Eventually, if I find them to be completely and utterly bad faith, I'll drop it and I'll be like, okay, whatever, who cares? But I can't connect here with what Tim Pool's saying. I can't find any reason for him to suggest pedophilia against the club that was just attacked in a terror attack. I can't see the justification for that. I don't see the evidence for it. And that's what makes this particularly revolting, is that I can't even logically process how he could come to this conclusion. This is irresponsible, it's gross, and this is a new low for Tim Pool. This is really bad.